Good morning. Good night last night. All the bugs that were around yesterday went away when the sun set, and now they're all coming back out as the sun's coming back up again. Just little flies and things are bothering me. But we're doing for like a 20-mile day. We'll see where that puts us. I'm all loaded up on heavy with water still, trying to ration it as much as I can. Potentially there might be a little bit of a water source in about 9 miles, looking at comments ahead, or 14 miles to a more reliable water source. Might be a long water carry day. And the uphills continue. Ups and downs today, I think. A little bit of a view out to the west. Lots of uphill this morning. It's not very steep, but I'm carrying too much on my back with all this food and water. It's wearing me out already. Well, I think we made it through the high point for this morning. Well over 7,000 feet. I need to find a nice shady spot to take second breakfast and just enjoy a break for a bit. I feel like we've been moving really, really slow. Big grindy uphill and my backpack is heavy. But from here, it looks like gradual downhills for about 10 miles. It's just a few small pop-ups, but that's nothing to worry about. So real nice descent. Hopefully we can make up some speed until lunchtime. Well, done with second breakfast, getting back on trail, ready to pick up some speed. Well, I can see a big snow-capped mountain way off in the distance. Looks like Mount Fuji. I wonder if that's where, we're kind of far from where Flagstaff and, what is it, Mount Humphreys, I think? Might be it, I don't know. Let's see if I can get a zoomed in shot of it here in a second. What do you guys think that big snow-capped mountain in the distance could be? Well, I think I passed the area where there was supposed to be that potential first water source. I didn't see anything. But the Chilson Spring is about 5.5 miles ahead, and that's the guaranteed water source. I've still got a little over a liter, I think, so I got enough to get me there. And I just passed two guys going southbound. I told them they were like the first hikers I'd seen since the last 2 days, getting back on trail from the highway, and they said they've seen like a dozen guys going northbound already this morning. So I've got a lot of people just ahead of me. Maybe I'll catch up to someone at some point. I'll keep my eyes open. But anyway, 5.5 miles to water. We'll push there and take a break. That is the biggest pile of poop I've seen on trail. Maybe a bear? Looks like it's all full of berries and stuff. The jaggediness of the rocks here makes it a little slow going. I feel like I've had a wide variety of plants and trees and rocks and things that I've been hiking through this morning. A lot of high altitude pine trees and loose, broken, sharp shale. And this area is all very volcanic and lush and green. Well, made it to Chilson Spring. I guess we gotta climb uphill a little bit to go check it out. And here's Chilson Spring. Good enough for the frogs. Oh, refreshing up on water. Next mission is find a little shady spot to squat down and have lunch. I'm definitely due for some break and some food. I think we made a good push getting here. It's a little after noon, and I don't know what the total miles we've done already. It's been pretty good. Oh, this will work for a lunch spot, I think. I was just double checking the time and the maps and things, and it is 12:20. We've done 14.5 miles for today. I think I'm only looking at doing another 6.5 or so. There's a place called The Park, and I think that'll be a good place to camp. There should be a couple of good water sources halfway between here and there, and then I think like maybe the last 3 miles will have to be a water carry, but I'm not sure the distance between the last water source of today and the first water source of tomorrow. I'll have to double check that distance, but we did a 15-mile water carry already between the end of yesterday and today, so I think that's the longest carry on this trail so far. We'll see how other carries go in the future though, but back on trail after lunch. Back on trail. There's a nice little water source across the trail. Scoopable pool. And flowing down. Rocky uphills. I made it to the junction for the Hopi Spring. It's all wet across the trail here. Somewhere's further up there should be like a big basin to scoop from, so I'm gonna go wander up here. We got about 3.5 miles to camp from here, so I gotta load up. Last water source of the day. I think next water is total of 7.5 miles, I think. 4 miles into the morning, so that's not too bad. Well, it's like a 0.1 up a steep hill here, but there we go. Nice and overflowing. Filling up here and then back on trail. We're loaded up and back on trail. 3.5 miles to camp, a little over a mile of uphill, and a little over 2 miles of downhill. Doesn't sound too bad. Made it to the high point for this climb. All downhill from here, a little over 2 miles left. I don't think I've emphasized today, but it's been extremely rocky. Most all day has been like this. Lots of little stuff to step on. But we're around a mile left or so, I think, till we hit camp. Well, I think this is it. I think this is the place called The Park. Looks like a bunch of little places tucked in the trees to pop a tent. Very roomy, according to a lot of the comments. And I'll probably have company here tonight. I passed 4 people in the last like 3 or 4 miles since around the last water source. And they all may end up here. So we'll see if we got a little crowd going. But I'll pick a nice little spot, maybe something around here. This place looks good. Well, I'm mostly settled in. It's really buggy again here like last night. A couple of bees and stuff flying around, but they're just inquisitive. They're leaving me alone well enough. Still all alone. I'll let you know if anybody else joins me. It's still kind of early in the day. I got here like 4:30, I think. But I'm just going to get dinner cooked up and get to video editing and take care of the usual stuff, so I think we'll just sign off. So thanks for watching, and we'll see y'all in the morning. Good morning. Had a little group at the park where I was at. I think all 4 of the other people I met yesterday afternoon, they all camped in the vicinity. Plenty of room for everyone. It's a great little spot. But it's nice and chilly this morning. Haven't looked at the elevation profile, but I think it's probably similar with the rocky ups and downs, I think, all day probably. And the first stop for the day is going to be our first water source is about 4 miles in or so. I got plenty of water to get me there, so we're doing not too bad. So far this morning, just little ups and downs, but definitely very rocky. I'm still seeing elk tracks on trail. None of it looks particularly fresh like it's from today or yesterday. I still haven't seen one yet though, but I'm on the lookout. Now I'm seeing fresh elk track. I don't know how well it's going to come out on the camera, but basically every little bit of disturbed pebbles there is all elk track. Tons of it. No human footprints on top of it. So it's fresh within the last 12 hours or so at least. I'm also looking ahead to the north of us and stuff. There's no major mountains out there, just rolling hills. But I do see the Mogollon Rim is kind of the bigger rim feature in the background there. I think we go up and over on top of that somewhere in the next couple of days after the next town of Pine. Just passing somebody who's camped here with a little llama group. It's pretty cool. First pack animals I've seen up here.
Now the gnats are driving them crazy.
Yeah. You know, I bet those 2 llamas that group had, I bet they were the ones making the tracks that I was confusing for elk for this morning. But there's still elk out here. So I'm still looking for those guys. Made it to the first water source of the morning. Little pools to collect from. I'll make sure I'm topped up around here. Next water's going to be about 3.5 miles, I think. And I'm also just remembering that there's a river crossing coming up, maybe in 10 miles. I think we'll hit that around lunchtime. The East Verde River. I think latest report said it was around knee deep. Made it down to Bush Spring, some tenting options and a little stream down here. I think this will be a good place to stop and take in second breakfast. Ooh, lots of bees on this tree. There's definitely a hive in there. I'll keep the distance from that one, but we'll take a break around here and re-top up on water. We're done with our break and back on trail. Next stop is going to be the East Verde River. Recent reports say it's knee deep. We'll see what it's like when we get there. Mostly all downhill, I think. Losing a lot of elevation getting down to the river. I was just thinking that I haven't seen a saguaro cactus in a couple of days. I think we may be officially beyond their ranges. May not see another one for the rest of the trail. Just crossed over a little saddle. I can see a nice little river down there. That's got to be the East Verde that we're going to be crossing in a little bit. And the Mogollon Rim in the distance there. Here's a nice surprise of a flowing stream, nice and clear. I may load up here. I don't know what the condition of the river is, whether it's super silty or not. We're still like a mile and a half from it, I think, so I'll take some water from here and then move on. Oh, we made it to the East Verde River. Looks a lot shallower than the 3-foot deep comments that I've heard. I think I'm just going to go right through here and aim over to that little rock pile on the other side. Just going in as is. I think I'm going to take my lunch break a little bit further up. In another half a mile is the Polk Spring. And that looks like a good place with a water source. And a place to chill. Yeah, this is like a foot deep. Nice and cool. Water's nice and clear. Well, I think this is the Polk Spring. A little pain in the butt to get up here. Probably should have just loaded up down by the river, but it's a little off trail, a little around a barbed wire fence, a little hard to find, but here we go. I'm gonna load up here. I think this is my lunch break spot. We're back on trail. Well, that place sucked for taking a break. I should have just stayed down by the river. The river had shade and water and everything. That place had shade at least, but you couldn't really access the water. It was all overgrown and buggy. Comments were talking about how awesome it was to tent there and water access and everything, but none of that was true. Bad place. Anyway, 3 miles from here, there's supposed to be some kind of water tank or something. I think that's going to be my last water source for the day. So we'll take another break there in 3 miles and load up. Steepest climb of the day on all these lava rocks. We just made it on top of this little mesa. That climb sucked. Straight up for about half a mile. It was short though. Looks like flat for a little bit. Well, made it down to our water source. I'm gonna load up here. It's a little scummy, but not too bad. Clear enough, it looks like. I'm sure it'll filter all right. I don't know how many more miles I'm going for today. Probably just 2 or 3 or so. We'll see where that puts us. Well, I think it's time to get back on trail. I've been hanging out there in the shade under the tree. There's the water trough. I'm all heavy and fully loaded. Next guaranteed water looks like it's about 13.5 miles ahead. And I think we may only be doing another 2 to 3 miles at most for the rest of the day. We got a steep climb coming to get onto another little plateau up there, but it's going to be short. It's only like a 1/4 mile, but straight up. And then it gets flat again. So we'll find a place to camp up there somewhere. Well, just about on top of this plateau now. Should be about flat until camp. The lava rocks up here have a lot more holes in it. It's all cratered, makes it look like animal bones and stuff. And here's camp, just a little bit off trail. Found a nice little flat spot. A lot of the ground here is really rocky, so I'm pretty lucky getting this one little space where it's easy enough to put the stakes in, and there's nothing disturbing underneath right where the tent is sitting. So we're in a good spot. And just once again showing off my broken zipper. That's about the best I can manage on the tent. I'm definitely going to be looking for a new one when I get to Flagstaff, I think. And I think that's it for today. I think we did at least about 20 miles. That leaves us maybe 15 plus or minus a little bit to get us into the town of Pine for tomorrow. Right now I'm thinking there's basically one place to stay. There's technically two, but there's kind of a bad option that's way more expensive and they require a 2-night minimum, so everyone goes to this other place. Very hiker friendly. I think it's called the Beeline Guest House. I'm going to give them a call tomorrow as I get into town, and if they have an availability, I'll probably stay the night in town. If they don't, I'll probably just bounce in, get some resupply shopping done, and then just bounce back on trail for another mile or two and camp somewhere in the woods. So I think that's the current game plan. But I'll start taking care of the usual. We'll cook up dinner here in a little bit. We'll get to videos, and that's about it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in the morning.